What is going on, everyone? Badger here. Sure to like and sub, and let's get into this. One of the happy things that has happened, I mean, we get a lot of bad games, a lot of games that we think is going to be great, and then it is corrupted by ideology, and one that would have been ripe for the corruption, because that's exactly what's happening to the actual lore and property, and that's Space Marine, Warhammer 40,000 Games Workshop, who, God help us, with their Amazon TV property and the female custodies, but Space Marine 2 came out based, did not betray the lore, no modern politics, no modern ideology. Nothing was made for
a
the
modern gaming audience.
Thank the gods about that. So we can have here, they're explaining, well, first we had Matthew Karch, the CEO of Saber, explain exactly the motivations behind making this game. Spoiler, it was to make a good game that raised the heart rate, good gameplay loop, exactly what we all want from a game. And when everyone said that the gameplay from Space Marine 2 was like something from the 2010s, 2013s, they meant it in a good way. And of course, Matthew Karch talked about the bloated game design that we normally see. And we have here their chief creative officer, Tim Willits, saying basically the same, but a little bit different. And it just, of all the game companies right now that we are seeing melting down, this one with Saber actually has me happy because, one, they still have the Knights of the Old Republic remake, and it's just fills me with happy joy feelings that somewhere out there there's a game developer that still understands and is still capable of making a good game uncorrupted. You can see he says that they first rejected the idea that gamers were moving on from certain games. This is them talking to IGN, informing the outlet that it is not necessarily the genre that has moved on, because great games will always do well. Facts, right? We're not moving on from the genre. We're moving on from the horrible games that they keep making in them. Sharing that, of course, the core beliefs at Saber, and this is very similar to what the CEO was saying. One of the things that we try to do at Saber, and this is part of my job as creative officer of all the teams, we have a core belief that diversity is our strength. No, I'm kidding. But that would have been fun, right? That's what they normally would have said. We have a core belief that what you do every second and what happens when you push these buttons, and that core gameplay loop is so good. Notice he's talking about gameplay loops and critical, not seeing yourself represented. So we focus on the moment-to-moment interaction in the gameplay and the feeling you have. And then we adhere to our core pillars, like be the ultimate Space Marine, melee, ranged, swarm, and that's it. See what happens when you remove all the basic, when you stop doing this?
The message.
You see here, returning to what they see as mistakes that other developers make that lead to their demise. A lot of teams throughout the development will overscope games. This is the too many cooks in the kitchen scenario. And trying to keep it simple, stupid. They don't keep it simple. They try to make it complicated. They try to change something that's already working. They look at some of the other games that just came out and say, oh, we got to do that. Let's add this. We got to do this. And they lose focus on the core of what actually makes the game fun. And that's at best. You add all of those mistakes on top of, and let's add a bunch of ideology and message that most people don't agree with. Not just message, but
the message.
It's a losing recipe, and thankfully they have decided not to do that, and are at least trying to educate, if other studios will but listen to this advice, what it is. We are not in Space Marine 2 doing things that, well, the swarms are new technology, but there isn't some revolutionary new gameplay mechanic that no one's ever seen before. There are gameplay mechanics that people are familiar with, but we do it really, really well, and we execute really, really well. And that is sort of the point, because you think we would get to a point where we would have perfect games, where every game should have a quality of life improvement that had been discovered years ago, and then sometimes games release without them, and you go, what the hell? This has already been done before. Why isn't this properly doing something that's been executed? And that's what Space Marine 2 did. They executed something properly that had been executed before, but they did it the right way. Also, that's why they were able to keep their costs down. We don't need to sell 4 million units to make Space Marine 2 a success. Not being the case for many other developers, as we've talked about, remove all the ESG and the politics and all the other things. They're bloated games that aren't fun to play. The gameplay loops are retarded. There are many games, sadly, especially out of North American developers, where if you do not sell 5 million copies, you are a failure. I mean, what business are we in where if you fail if you sell less than 5 million? Like Star Wars Outlaws, who's barely sold more than 1 million. Meanwhile, Black Myth Wukong sold 20 million. So what are you going to do? I guess if it's good, it's good. There are examples like that, and we do not want to be that business. We want to be a developer that focuses on the core audience, what makes the game actually fun, and then do it really well and make it affordably. And that is what you need to do, pointing to the success of sticking to basics and not trying to revolutionize gameplay mechanics. And I would also add the other parts of this is not compromising it with you know what it is, the message in DEI. This is very similar to what the CEO said, Matthew Karch, which I'm not going to go over again because you know what it is. The whole idea is that this is what we need from video game companies going forward. People that understand that a game, especially a game like Space Marine 2, is not about imposing any modern day message. It is about gameplay loops. It's about getting your heart rate up, and it's about killing the enemy for the Empire. The Emperor, he protects, stuff like that. You get the idea. I've finished the first one, and then I'm going to be playing the second one. And as far as that Warhammer TV show, I don't think it's going to happen. I believe they got an extension into January, but still no writers, no studios have been booked. Nothing has come forward. Probably going to die on the vine. And that's a good thing. Either way, let me know what you think of all this. Make sure to like, share, and sub. If you have done that, thank you. If you're going to do that, thank you.
Well, bye.